Hey guys, on today's episode, we're going to take a look at Best Buy's most recent earnings, which is quarter one for the fiscal year of 2020. So let's get started. Right off the bat, let's just talk about the straight results of earnings. Best Buy's reports better than expected first quarter earnings. Enterprise comparable sales increased 1.1%, and diluted earnings per share increased 36% to 98 cents per share. So this is great. This is great to know that there's comparable sales are increasing, especially with what's going on in the world. Mainly talking about tariff talk. It is good to see, since it's mainly based on electronics, we can see that this increase in comparable sales, people are still going to Best Buy to purchase electronics, and it is still growing at a 1.1% rate. The good thing I like about Best Buy is they did give us guidance for quarter two, which is the next upcoming quarter, and they also gave us a full year guidance. So let's go straight off at quarter two. Quarter two, they expect revenue of $9.5 to $9.6 billion. On the next episode of this Best Buy series, we'll take a look at more in detail of the value numbers. Today, we're just going to look at what they had to say and all the important information. So next episode, we'll look at these values and see how they are compared to last quarter two. But they do say comparable sales growth of 1.5 to 2.5%. Again, this is great numbers. It's always good to see comparable sales increase for these type of retail-based businesses. For 2020, the full year, they did give us an outlook on February 27, 2019, about 4 months ago, and they're still keeping in line with this revenue. So again, that's pretty good leadership in my opinion, when they do not have to change guidance throughout midway in the year. So they give us revenue of $42.9 billion to $43.9 billion. Comparable sales growth of 0.5 to 2.5%. So in my opinion, this is a big range of 0.5 to 2.5% growth. But I do believe since quarter one, they provide a nice return of 1.1%. In quarter two, they expect about 1.5 to 2.5. In quarter three and quarter four start to get closer to the holiday season, which we hope to see increasing growth sales there as well. So I do think that they might reach the higher range of this comparable sales guidance, maybe around 2% to maybe 1.8 to 2.2% in the comparable sales growth, which again is great numbers. Again, I would rather take a look at quarter two to see how the values end up being for quarter two's growth on comparable sales. But the way of my thinking is, right, quarter three and quarter four starts to get closer to Black Friday, Christmas, so we start to see more traffic during that area. Enterprise operating income rate is approximately 44.6%, which is flat compared to previous fiscal year. So normally I would be kind of a little bummed out that these are flats throughout the year compared to last year. But we're talking about this year, which has been pretty hard for the realtor companies, mainly because of tariffs, especially since Best Buy has a lot of electronics that probably made it to that list of electronics. So for them to be able to still maintain a flat income rate, to me is great news, because the moment that a deal does happen, then these rates are going to increase. All these numbers are going to increase. But it is good to know that with everything going on in the world, they still are providing growth on their company. They do expect SG&A expenses, which is sales, general, and administrative expenses, to grow as a percentage in the low to mid-single digits. And this is primarily from the higher recall operating expense and increase in advertising spend. For you guys that don't know, Best Buy did purchase two companies that I will talk about in a bit. One of these companies is Great Call, and here they are spending a little more money on their expenses and increasing advertising expense. But in my opinion, this is a good thing to spend money in, because as we will see, Great Call is providing them with higher margin rates and higher revenue. So it is good to go and chase this company that's providing the money. There is some talk of shift going on within the company. Corey Berry on June 11th, in the coming few days, will become the new CEO of Best Buy. Corey Berry, just a quick history on him. He is the CFO and the Strategic Transformation Officer. So this is really good news. I'm really liking the leadership of Best Buy as a whole, and that, in my opinion, is a very important thing. Corey Barry has been in the lead for this transformation of Best Buy ever since Amazon came out. A lot of these retail companies had to shift the way they operate in their business. And this guy has the one that's been in the front line because he was the strategic transformation officer. And now he will become the CEO. So that means that they will maintain this path to this transformation of Best Buy. The current CEO will still be an advisement as he will transition to the newly created role of executive chairman of the board. So that's a good thing that the CEO of Best Buy will continue to be there and provide outlook for the business. And in the same regards, also be able to help out Corey Barry in his CEO position. Next, we're going to talk about shareholder returns. In this quarter, the company returned $232 million to shareholders. $98 million was through share repurchase and $134 million were from dividends. On February 27, 2019, the same time they gave us that yearly guidance, the company announced the intent to spend $750 million to $1 billion on share repurchase in 2020, the fiscal year of 2020. So we can see all these companies are buying back their shares. So that means one thing, they are expecting their shares to go up. So if the company is doing it, why are we not? So it's definitely a great time to take a look at this company when they are still expected to spend so much money on buying back more shares. Just in perspective, right? In quarter one, they spent only $100 million. They still have $650 million to $900 million to spend on repurchasing. Next, I just want to show you guys a quick breakdown of the revenue mix. We can see here that computing and mobile business are still 46% of the total revenue. Consumer electronics dropped down by 1%, and entertainment, which we'll take a look, is the biggest drop going on. And here, just revenue mix, if there's a percentage shift here, it does not mean much, right? It just means that the company could have made money elsewhere, which could have shifted the overall percentage-wise by segment. But here we can see, and that's what we'll talk about next. So mainly I just wanted to show you guys that computing and mobile phones are a big portion, as well as consumer electronics are a big portion of this company, where entertainment, appliances, and services make up close to 20% of the business. If we take a look at international segment, we see the same thing, where computing and mobile phones and consumer electronics make about 80% of the business, where the other ones make about the remaining 20%. We'll talk about domestic segment quarter one for this quarter results. Domestic revenue increased 0.8% compared to last year. The increase was driven by comparable sales growth of 1.3% and revenue from Great Call Inc. So that means, and Great Call was a company that I mentioned they purchased in quarter three of 2009, a fiscal year of 2019. And we can see, right, they're saying that their revenue has increased, and it was mainly driven by more comparable sales growth. So more sales growth means that there's more customers coming to the store. You're having, or either more traffic to the stores, or the purchases are becoming higher, which is both great news. And they also mentioned Great Call has provided strong revenue for this company to allow it to increase its revenue by 0.8% compared to last year. They were partially offset by the loss of revenue from the 105 Best Buy mobile businesses and 12 large format store closures in the past year. So in the past year, they did mention that they were going to close 12 large format stores and the full Best Buy mobile section. So these are losses that should be taken. Eventually, we would not see in the upcoming years. So hopefully, this revenue increase will be much higher in the future, because they won't have to offset the loss of these Best Buy mobile stores and these large format stores. From a merchandise perspective, the largest comparable sales growth drivers were appliances, wearables, and tablets. So this is pretty good to know, right? If it's happening in the retail business, then if you want to take a look at some businesses, maybe it might be good to take a look at the appliances of a business that makes appliances, wearables, or tablets. Because if they are selling good here in the retail space, then that means the company that's making them is also doing good. These drivers were partially offset by the decline in the entertainment category. So the entertainment category will be music CDs, movies, gaming, most likely. So here we can definitely take a look that these are companies, and obviously this is probably a main reason why GameStop as a whole is also going down. Domestic online revenue increased 14.5%. That is actually great news. Remember, like I mentioned, Amazon was about to take over the world at some point, so companies had to do something different. And we can see online business is becoming more of a thing for these old-time retail companies. So online revenue increased 14.5%. And again, it's primarily due to higher traffic to the company's website and also higher average order value. So people are spending more money on Best Buy. As a percentage of total domestic revenue, online revenue increased 1.8% to 15.4% compared to 13.6% of last year. So what am I saying here? Here I'm just saying that revenue now, more people, even though revenue is increasing by only about 0.8%, I think 0.8% compared to last year, the amount of people actually buying online has increased. So that again is good news. It means more people are there's more traffic on their online website. Again, good news for them to know that online business is doing really well. Domestic gross profit rate was 23.7% versus 23.3% of last year. So this growth is mainly driven by the impact of Great Call's higher gross profit rate and improved product margin rate, and is offset by higher supply chain costs. So again, we do hear a Great Call mentioned again, and they're saying that Great Call does provide a higher gross profit rate, and we can see that this is helping out here. So Great Call is definitely turning out to be a great call for Best Buy to go. I know that was corny. I'm sorry, guys. I don't even know if that's gonna make it to the video. Let's see if it does. Next, I do want to mention that under sales generalization and administrative expenses, they did include a $17 million of intangible asset amortization related to Great Call. Right, so this is it's good to know that this 17 million, if it wasn't for the 17 million asset expense, then they would have actually had the same amount of expense compared to last year's same quarter. So that again, even though 17 million is not that much money for this company. Now we'll take a look at the outside international segment of quarter one. International revenue has decreased 5.2%. So even though this tariff talk has not hit the United States as hard, it is definitely hitting the other countries as hard, but it's mainly because of the negative foreign currency exchange rates. Comparable sales decline also didn't help because they went down by 1.2%, which was driven mainly by Canada. But obviously this makes sense, right? If currency exchange rates have gone to the negative sides for the outside countries, that means things are more expensive for them to go. If things are more expensive for them, they're obviously going to be there's going to be less traffic in stores. So this negative foreign currency exchange rates goes in line with the sales decline, comparable sales decline. International gross profit rate. So even though they did decrease revenue, they did increase their gross profit rate from 24.2 compared to 23.4 last year. And this is primarily due to Canada, which delivered improved gross profit rates in several product categories and increased the revenue in the higher margin rate service category. So here we can see that the services category do provide higher margin rates. And by the purchase of Great Call and this other company that I'm going to mention, they are going more into this service category type service revenue. So hopefully we will see higher margin rates on this. International sales, generative, and administrative expenses was 23.9% of revenue versus 23.7% of revenue of last year. But again, that makes sense, right? If revenue decreased by 5.2%, a higher portion of the expenses are going to be worth higher percentage compared to revenue. So again, that makes sense with that decrease in 5.2 of revenue. All right, now we're going to talk about their new standard lease. They are adopting a new standard, and most companies are doing this. And this is a big reason why we're seeing big changes in liabilities and operating and assets. So here, because of this new lease, They had a tax adjustment that decreased opening retained earnings by $19 million. Again, that's not a big impact to us. The most significant impact of this adoption was that we're going to see operating lease assets of 2.7 billion and operating lease liabilities of 2.8 billion. So when we take a look at the numbers next episode, we'll see how we see these big jumps of 2.7 billion and 2.8 billion dollars. This is one thing I did like that the company. I do like their leadership. Best Buy does have a great leadership, and the way they present stuff to the shareholders is actually pretty admiring. I do admire the way they do it. They go on to talk about tariff talk, and they mentioned that the administration has so far done a very good job at minimizing the impact of tariffs on U.S. consumers by limiting the number of consumer products on the tariff list. So again, this is great news because if they do put too many items on the list, then overall everything is gonna go up. But we can see by the sales growth increase and the revenue increase that consumers at the moment are not being hit as hard based on these tariff lists. And they have done this by the administration has taken inputs from companies like Best Buy and other retail business. And so far Best Buy has been able to minimize the impact of these tariffs by employing a number of mitigation strategies. So it does seem that the administration is working really close with companies to be able to make sure that the U.S. consumer is not being hit as hard with these tariffs. And look, I continue to admire the way this leadership of Best Buy does things, because for the fiscal year of 2020 guidance, it already incorporates the estimated impact of the recent move from 10% to 25% on the tariffs on list 3. So this company is already put this indefinitely tariff on their estimation course. So if the deal does happen and these tariffs get removed, Best Buy's guidance will be even better. So again, this is really good, and this shows really good leadership. So next, we'll talk about Best Buy's 2020 strategy to enrich lives with technology. So this was, at first, it took me some time to really understand why Best Buy was doing this as a whole, and why they were purchasing companies like Recall, which is really based on senior citizens. But they're trying to enrich lives with technology, and that's the strategy they're trying to go with. They already do have aspects like they have Geek Squad, which is pretty much a monitoring service for technology, and they have this other company called In-Home Advisors, which again they provide some form of consulting for the needs of what the people need in their homes. So here with this Recall is an advanced commercial monitoring system with a focus on aging seniors. So again, this monitoring system with technology. So now with their in-home advisors and Geek Squad, all this together, it itself can make its own company. They will be opening a third Recall caring center in October with 400 care agents for 24 and 24/7 operating hours. And we did see, Recall provides great profit margins, great gross profit margins, which we saw in previous slides has helped out Best Buy increase their gross profit margin. They also are providing positive revenue at the moment. They did purchase the second company, which is known as Critical Signal Technology, which also focuses on the senior focused health services. CST is to help scale up the commercial monitoring business, and currently has approximately 100,000 senior subscribers. So now they have these subscribers from CST, they have the customers from Great Call, and they have products like Geek Squad and In-Home Advisors. They'll be able to serve the seniors in their homes and those who support them, like payors and providers. It is good to know that the acquisition of CST closed during Q2. It was funded with existing cash. So again, that's pretty good that this company, they did not close out how much money the company was worth, but they were able to buy plain out with cash. So we're not going to get any huge loans from there. Next, we're going to talk about their customer support. Even though Best Buy is going outside this technology to own business, they still understand that they are a retail business, so they are improving the customer's experience here at the stores. The first thing is they did roll out this lease to own program, which again, it is exactly what they own. What it says, you pay a periodic payment over a fixed period, eventually leading to a full ownership. This product has already launched to 36 states and about 70% of their stores, and it is expected to roll out to another 9 states later this year. They are seeing good results because they are seeing significant number of consumers are choosing to pick this own to lease to own product, which is a 90-day purchase option and consists of a $79 initial payment plus the retail price. So I mean, if they don't have the credit card, most of their credit cards offer 0% interest on 0% interest on purchases over X amount of value. So if it seems like people that don't have high credit that have decent credit might not be able to do that form of credit card purchases, but they will be in fact be able to do this loan lease to own program. In regards, Best Buy collects an extra $79 per item. So the financing provided through Best Buy credit card is also an important benefit, which I talked about earlier. In-home consultation, which was their in-home services program, is one of the ways that they deliver experiences in-home today. The program continues to build, and it's clear that there is real customer need that they are addressing. So now imagine they have this senior home. They're going to start hitting senior homes too, and be able to increase these products across the globe in big senior home real. The deployment of metro e-commerce centers across key cities and automation continue to improve speed of delivery to customers and expand next day and same day delivery options. So again, like I mentioned, right, they had to do something to make sure they were competing with Amazon. And now with these deployments of these metro e-commerce, they are able to provide faster speed of delivery to their customers. They offer same-day delivery of thousands of items in 40 metro areas, and 77% of Best Buy customers are in a zip code where they are able to offer fast deliveries, and thousands of items are eligible. Customers, even though this is pretty good in my part, this is where they differ from Amazon, and I think it's pretty good how they're doing it. Even though customers have the extreme convenience option to have these extremely fast delivery options, either being same day, next day, or 2-day delivery option, it seems a huge amount of the customers are still going to pick up the items in store. Sometimes the customer wants the item right now, so they just purchase it online, they drive to the store, and they pick it up within an hour. So again, that's great to know that they're still seeing traffic in store. And hey, and this is also helps out Best Buy get even more revenue. Imagine you driving to the store after you purchased an item. Maybe you want to spend some time walking around the store and you find some more items that you want to purchase, opposed to just being online and just looking at what you need, buy it, and that's it. The customer is done after this. With this, it gives the ability for the customer to even purchase more items where they are in store. Next thing we're going to talk about is the supply chain transformation. Like I mentioned, Best Buy is definitely in impact to change the whole way the company is doing. So the first thing they did is automation. It's an important part of supply chain transformation. And starting Q4 of last year, they did implement a new automated boxing technology, which has cut down the cost for real-time custom boxes for products coming down a conveyor. Supply chain strategy is to leverage assets of stores, distribution centers, and metro e-commerce centers in a portfolio approach. And during the first quarter, they achieved $35 million annualized cost reduction. So they did reduce their cost by $35 million, which is good, and efficiencies bring a total of $575 million total, bringing down since quarter 2 of 2018. So since a year and a half ago, they implemented this strategy, which they have reduced their cost by $575 million. Again, this shows strong leadership on Best Buy, and I'm really liking the leadership and the progress it is making. And they are towards a physical goal of 2021 to achieve $600 million total efficiency increase, right? $600 million efficiency increase. And right now, in quarter 1 of fiscal year 2020, they have already reached reach $575 million. So this means they are going to achieve this goal, and they're probably going to increase this goal since they have already met it. So again, this is I'm really, like I mentioned, I keep saying, but their leadership on Best Buy is looking really good, and what we saw here is looking really good. But again, guys, tune in to the episode on Friday where I'll take a look at these numbers and to see how things are really progressing number-wise. Today we took a look at how they're doing it and why they're doing it. But next time we'll take a look at if what they're doing is really helping. So take care, guys. Make sure to subscribe. Make sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you guys want me to take a look at any company, make sure to just let me know in the comments below. Take care, guys, and see you next time.